Hi, I'm Jason Bellamy, coming to you from CSM 2016, and I'm joined by Marcus Drips and Michael Brennan. We just had a panel on international collaboration. You are the president of the Australian Physiotherapy Association. You're the CEO of the Canadian Physiotherapy Association, and Sharon Dunn was on the panel representing APTA. You talked about a lot of different subjects, so it'll be tough to narrow it down, but I want to pick something sort of more on the association side and on the profession side for each of you. Marcus, one of the things you talked about is you guys made a shift from looking sort of more internally to externally. Tell me what you're talking about and what benefits you feel that had.
Yeah, sure. So in the past, like many membership organisations, we've been made up of many components who are all very autonomous, made their own rules, set their own objectives, controlled their own budgets, set their own strategy. Through the transition to becoming one organisation, we're able to take some more cohesive approaches towards strategy so that we could work on some of the big ticket items that affect us all, such as what is the community's perception of physiotherapy.
So, and I want to get back to that perception a bit later. But first, on the association side for you, you mentioned that in Canada you made you called it a radical shift, I think, toward focusing on youth. Why, and what have you done?
Well, I think the simple question or answer to why is that that's where the future is. If you are able to bring students in and keep them as members and keep that retention rate up, your association will grow. It's simple math. What we did was we first talked to students, found out what they needed. First thing they needed, they told us, was a break on costs. So we made student membership free. We then shifted a lot of our resources and our communications towards that younger audience, lowered costs for students in a number of service areas, including malpractice insurance and so on when they graduate. And so what we've seen is a retention rate in the 80% range for members 5, 6, 7 years past graduation. And that's where we're going to build and grow our association. So it's worked out very well for us. We hear really good things from students and younger new members, and that's where our focus is going to continue.
Excellent, that's huge. And then Marcus, let's go back to that perception. One of the questions you got from the floor was about, he said, you watch a sporting event in Australia and a physiotherapist runs on the field, and at least in his perception there was a greater common understanding of what physiotherapists do compared to America and what a physical therapist would do. And you talked about that was true, but it was also true sort of in maybe niche areas and not necessarily universally when you look at all the things physiotherapists do. Give me examples of that.
Yeah, sure. So when you ask members of the community in Australia what does a physio do, they'll come up with a sporting analogy first and a hospital analogy second and a sprained ankle in the community third. That's important, but it's fairly narrow. So it's in our interest that we make sure that all of the community is aware of the full scope and breadth of physiotherapy services. And if you put that into context here of having worked so hard over the last decade in getting direct access, what does that mean for the profession? Well, to me what it means is, whilst it is always important that physician referrers, our medical colleagues, understand what physios and physical therapists do, it's also increasingly important that the community understands so that they can make that choice and do make that choice to seek a physiotherapist first for conditions where that's an appropriate intervention.
So if we are going to encourage consumers to go do physical therapy or physiotherapy first, we have to give them a reason. And you talked about the importance of the registry. APTA is undertaking the physical therapy outcomes registry, and you said this could be a major game changer, not just in the US, but internationally. Why?
Well, being able to access the amounts of data that the registry has the potential to grow to is going to allow research right around the world to focus in on efficacy, to focus in on the kinds of questions that policymakers are asking themselves when they look at the allocation of resources to physiotherapy or some substitute or alternative. So by participating in the registry, we're simply creating just a huge opportunity to learn and then turn that knowledge into advocacy tools. We've had some success with that in Canada, answering the kinds of questions that the typical health administrator or legislator would ask, but we're still limited in our certainty. And the more access we have to the registry, the more people are contributing to it, the more certain we are in our position to say, physiotherapy is worth it.
These are the kind of conversations that happen at CSM. To see more dispatches like these, you can go to the CSM website. Marcus Drips, Michael Brennan, I'm Jason Bellamy. Catch you later.